Two Jack Bros, Two Jack Bros.
Welcome back to Two Jack Bros, and if it is your first time, welcome to you too, and thank you for giving us a shot. I am Sidney. I am sitting next to world champion Ansley.
Hello.
And today our guest is none other than the Manny Brown.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Dude, thank you for coming. And again, thank you for being on time.
Yeah, I mean, you set a time and I try to be, I was still 4 minutes late,
Yeah. And then we were 44 minutes late.
It's all good. This is your house. You come whenever you want to come. I'm like, trust me, if I did the reverse, I'd be late in my own house. Trust me. Yeah.
We'll hold
no
you to
judgment
that.
at all.
Because so far, everything that you have claimed, he came to our house late. Ansley said, please let me pay you for this lateness with pizza. Manny said, I don't ever decline a pizza. And as soon as she handed him the pizza, Manny was like, I'm full.
It's like you've been in our house for an hour. Like,
come on, you didn't work up an appetite waiting all this time, man. Come on.
I ate right before I came. I did eat literally right before I came, and I felt bad. Like it was your children's food. I let them eat first. If they don't eat it, I'll have it.
So I believe you're a very timely person all the time. That's what I'm going to believe.
Okay, I'll go for that.
So, Manny, do you know how this podcast works?
I actually do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you want to explain it? You can explain it if you want to.
I probably could at this point. It's embarrassing how many episodes I've listened to. It really is.
Not to us.
Yeah,
We don't find that embarrassing at all. That's actually what we're going for.
No, I love I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
I really do.
Well, I'm not going to put you under that pressure. The premise of this podcast is to prove that you can have any type of sense of humor, dark or otherwise, and still reach a higher consciousness or enlightenment, as you will. And what we do on this podcast is we take our guest, who today is you, Manny Brown, through the process of enlightenment so that our listeners and Ansley and me can laugh our way to a higher consciousness without doing all the hard work that you're about to do.
All right, that sounds good.
Yeah. That's
I'm
you ready for this?
Yeah.
Well, as you already know, everybody gets the same questions. Ansley,
yes.
take it away.
Manny, what situation or event did you learn the most information from?
Most information from. It's like I know the questions are coming, but I'm still like, I don't know. I'm still nervous.
Well, we disarm you with our lateness. That's kind of that's how we do it.
I appreciated that. I mean, I'm pretty nervous right now.
Yeah. We know how to subvert anybody's pre-planned, answers with lateness and awkwardness in our house.
I tried not to think about it today because I was like, I don't want to be that guy who like writes it down beforehand. I was like, okay, I know what I generally have a sense of what the questions are, but I'm not gonna like plan it. Like I want to just not keep it out of my head and then kind of just see what happens.
We appreciate that.
Yeah. So with that said, I'll probably go with stuff I've been thinking about. But no, I'm sorry. The first question was what situation did I learn the most from?
Yes.
I think when I was in college, I sold Cutco knives, and I did pretty well at selling them. And then they gave me an opportunity to be a branch manager of one of their offices for like a summer.
Yeah.
And so I like ran that office, and I just failed miserably. I was very bad at managing people. I could do the sales part, but I was like just a horrible manager. I'm just bad at administrative stuff, and like we didn't do well at all. And I think I just learned like a whole lot about like what I'm not good at, and and also you shouldn't say yes to every opportunity just because someone says, "Hey, this is a promotion." I was like, "Oh, great! This sounds." I should have just sold things. You know what I mean? Like I should have just. I like sales. I still like sales a lot. Like I feel like. I use some of my like sales ability when it comes to like comedy. I just love talking to people and like selling people on something or an idea, and so I think that was kind of where I should have just kept my energy. But I am glad for the experience because I learned a lot, because I learned kind of just how bad I am at certain things, and you can't really get good at things or get competent at things until you learn how shitty you are at them. I think I learned a lot that year. Okay,
so I believe you learned a lot because I know a little bit about the Cutco knife industry. You know what
Okay.
I mean?
Yeah,
I did an interview. I did a group interview for Cutco Knives. So I'm very aware that Cutco Knives is basically the Ponzi schemes of knives.
Right. Yeah.
And it's so. Do you want to explain how it works?
Yeah, I mean, if I can remember. So,
Or,
like...
Ansley, do you want to guess how it works?
Well, no, I just watched. It's like is it called mid-level marketing companies?
So is this like a documentary on Netflix or something?
So LuLaRoe is like the ladies equivalent to there, where they were selling leggings. And so this lady sold leggings, and she like sold a ton of them. And so then she started selling the leggings to other ladies to sell the leggings. And it was going really, really well. But then they started, the money that people were making wasn't from the legging sales. It was from bonuses to get people on their team to continue selling the leggings.
Okay.
So you have to continue to sign people up. So only like the top, 5 to 10% of people make any money, and they make a lot of money, but everybody else is just constantly losing money because they're spending their money to buy the product. And then they have this like huge massive product that they haven't sold. And so they're in debt to the company.
Okay. Yeah. So...
Is that Cutco's Knives?
I mean, I guess
If it can get out of hand.
It could.
So the fundamental, the base level of the pyramid was what he was good at.
Yeah.
Selling the knives.
Yeah.
But
do you have to buy your knives
You
to
do
sell?
have to buy
your
knives. So
knives.
they're like when I bought them, they were $140.
See, they had people buying like $10,000.
Yeah.
for
See,
a
that's
product.
the time where I'm like, it didn't cost. I mean, it wasn't like that. I mean, for a college kid, it might be a lot, but a lot of times, like it was, middle class, upper middle class kids. So 140 for them was like not that big of a deal. And then I think you could give it back or something. I think in the program you were able to like give it back.
Yeah.
But I ended up making much more money than that. So for me, it was great.
Yeah.
and you're selling knives door to door.
So
Yeah.
it's well, they always say it's not technically door to door.
Because you build referrals.
You get referrals.
You build referrals.
Yeah.
Yet, even if you have referrals, you're still showing up to like a slightly one person removed stranger.
Yes.
With a box
with
of
a box of
knives.
knives.
Yeah.
It's like,
I wouldn't be comfortable with
it's-
that.
Yeah.
Hello.
It was kind of wild.
I'm your worst nightmare.
Yeah. And I mean, like, luckily my mom had a bunch of friends. She was just like that PTA mom. She was in like the booster club. So she just knew everybody. So like, not only did I live in like a pretty nice neighborhood, but then she also knew a bunch of people. So like, I had a good base to start with. But then also I think because I was very shy before I did it. And I think I started to learn how to talk to people through it. So I was building my confidence. And then by the time I was getting to like people who were removed and strangers, like I was actually pretty decent at it. So then I could like sell things at that point, and then I kept getting referrals and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a really fun experience. But I mean, I was also privileged in a lot of ways that the people we knew could afford them, and also my mom had a shitload of friends. So it's not one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, anyone can do it no matter what. Like now, like as I've gotten older, I realize like how privileged I was to be able to do it. But it still taught me a lot about like sales and rejection and like all that stuff.
Sure.
That's funny to me because like that's an interesting way that you learn to build up your social confidence by talking to your mom's friends.
Yeah.
Right? Because I feel like that's actually a phase of maturity that a lot of kids go through. Like the way you're able to interact with your parents' friends helps you build confidence with like talking to adults and like feeling comfortable about that. But I feel like you're doing it by being in this like professional setting of like selling them knives and probably doing a really cool demonstration and like cutting the pennies and shit.
Yeah, you cut that penny, cut rope.
Yeah.
I brought rope, fucking scissors, knives. Yeah, just this like black kid running around with knives.
With a serial killer travel kit.
I mean, it was crazy. But they let me in. And it was also cool because like on the surface, we had nothing in common. A lot of times, I was like a 20-year-old black kid, voted for Obama and like, very democratic. But then I would go to like a conservative white woman's house or whatever, and she probably voted for McCain. It was just interesting to like, you realized for me, it was like, oh, once you meet people, it's as cheesy as it sounds, like, like it was a cool way to kind of just see, even though on the surface, we're very different. Like, I feel like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I mean, that is one thing that brings all people together, watching a penny get cut with a knife.
It's dope. No matter who you are, no matter who you voted for, that's a fucking dope thing to watch.
And then slice a tomato with so thin you can look through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Come on. That penny,
Yeah.
you just cut a penny.
Yeah.
Does this all come in a briefcase? Like,
There was like a blue leathery pleather briefcase thing that we
Nice.
had. Yeah. It was good stuff.
Big time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
All right. So if you had to distill in like a sentence or two what it is that you learned from that experience, what would it be?
That I'm very bad at administrative things. But you need to kind of fail to ultimately learn.
Yeah.
I guess it's a simple concept, but
Yeah.
I learned so much. Like, it was at the time, it felt like, oh my gosh, like I was riding high. I was making all this money. Like the summer before, I was getting awards and shit, and now they want me to be a manager, and now I'm a manager and I'm terrible at it. I'm like losing money, and like if like Sidney would come up to an interview, you'd definitely not come back. I'm sure if I did the interview, like, this is a fucking scam.
And that's how you made your money, by getting people to sign
Yeah,
up.
then I
at
had
that
to
point.
get people, and then I was relying on other people to sell as opposed to just relying on whatever I'm doing to sell. And I was like, yo, this is not it.
That's mid-market.
Yeah.
Mid-level marketing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I was
So
at
that's
the,
where it comes
yeah,
in.
I was kind of like
Gotcha.
at the
Yeah.
top, but I just wanted to be at the bottom. But like being one of the
Yeah.
top people at the bottom, making
Yeah.
all this money.
And they need you desperate, right? Because now he's not selling what is guaranteed money.
Right.
And he has to, he's
I got to recruit people.
recruiting
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And now he has to recruit with like a nonstop fervor
Yeah.
because that's the only way he can get paid.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, so we would recruit enough people, and like we would have like percentages. So like, let's say you interviewed like 100 people, we would expect, and we would like give them the job. Like 100 people, we'd say like, you have the job. We would expect like maybe 30% to show up. So we would literally have these numbers like, okay, 30% are probably going to show up.
Wow.
And then hopefully like 30 people show up to the training.
Yeah.
And then I would do a 2-day training, and like we would expect certain people to drop off each day, and you had a percentage of how many people would actually launch. But I will say, like, when I did the training, I think that's part of where I started to develop like a love for stand-up a little bit. I always loved stand-up, but like that was the first time I had like a consistent stage, so to speak, where I could like,
you had an audience.
I had a set, you
Yeah.
know, and so I could make people laugh during that. And, also even with the customers, like when I was selling, I would have the same, I guess, presentation, but you would tailor it to like different people, and you would do this joke differently this time. Like it felt very similar.
Yeah. That's how
Had you had many jobs before selling knives?
No, the only job I had was working at Chick-fil-A in high school.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, again, we're gonna move on in a second, but I
Yes.
am blown away at the roundabout way, because I feel like a lot of comedians learned that they were funny from making their mom's friends laugh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's such a roundabout way that you did that. It's like so crazy to me. But I'm glad you went through that. That's cool. That's the only way to develop as a stand-up comedian.
Gotta make those if you can't make them laugh, you're dead.
Yeah,
Don't
your
even. You're
mom's
not
friends?
You can't make them laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crushing with my mom's friends. Crushing. And I was getting paid. It was great.
Nice.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right. So from now on, we're going to basically be opening up your chakras. From the bottom chakra up, as you know, the bottom chakra is located in your butthole. Are you okay with that chakra being open?
Let's open it up.
All right, let's do it. That is consent.
All right, Manny, how did you learn to overcome fear?
Just by doing things that scared me, I think, and realizing that, like every time I've been afraid of something and I've done something, I've always survived it. So I was like, oh, okay, well, even though I'm still going to be afraid of other things, whatever they may be, I have a pretty good track record. I'll most likely survive this thing. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think people realize how dangerous it is going to another person's house with a box of knives.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's like, yeah, that's really cool. I appreciate this knife presentation, But do you mind if while you're doing your presentation, I just have my gun on my lap?
Yeah. No one did that, by the way, which is surprising because we were in a place where people had a lot of guns. Like I was in Virginia at the time, so
They're just under the coffee.
I didn't see them. Yeah, I just didn't see them. They were definitely
like Manny showed up to the house and already escalated it to knives.
Yeah, exactly.
But so, what type of things then do you do to like overcome that? For like, what are I would usually ask somebody around here, like, do you remember a time when you were the most scared?
Yes, I do. Well, I've heard so many episodes, and I'm like, man, this is not that scary. But
it's relative. It's all relative.
There's been a few times, but like one thing I was thinking of, like kind of recently, I think it was during the pandemic. So like, I used to have a fear of mice. Like growing up, I remember like it started when I was a child. Like I remember I was just like playing with my toys, and a mouse just ran over like as I was playing, like a mouse ran over my toys, and I freaked the fuck out. I was like 4 or 5. And then from that moment, and for whatever reason, the memory I had of the mouse was huge. Like it was like a cat. Like in my mind, I just remember like running. I was terrified, and so I just kept that fear like my whole life of mice, like into like adulthood. And then we started getting mice in our basement, like as an adult, and that was one of my biggest fears. Is like, oh fuck, because like once I'm like an adult and I have my own house, I got to be the person who deals with that shit. And I know that's so embarrassing because it's like, dude, it's just a mouse. But I'm like, nah, I know one day I'm going to be like the adult who has to deal with that. And sure enough, it started happening. We started getting mice, and I could like see them out of the corner of my eye. And I would do work down there in the basement. As soon as I saw that shit, I like took my work up to the fucking kitchen. I'm like, we called the exterminator, and they put, whatever that stuff is, where like if a mouse
cheese,
the glue trap.
Yeah, they put down cheese. The mouse lives there with us now. So I learned to accept them, and they live with us. We have 7 of them. But they put this stuff down where like if the mouse eats something in there, then the mouse will leave the trap or whatever, and then it will go off and probably die. So it's supposed to eat it, leave, and then die outside. He's like, sometimes it will die in your house, but that's super, super rare. And of course, it died in our house. So my wife was getting something like in the basement, and she saw the mouse. She hates mice too. She's more scared probably than I am. So she saw it and was like, fuck. She got really scared.
Kick
and
it back and forth towards each other. Like,
she just like grabbed something and shut the door and then texted me immediately and was like, we've got a mouse. You got to get rid of it. And I was like, I was driving somewhere. It was Labor Day weekend. And I was like getting something at the store, and I was like, fuck. And I knew I had to do it. This was my moment. Now I got to pick up a dead mouse somehow and figure this out. And I remember like the mouse was on the other side of the door. Like it was in our like storage space. And I was like, shit, I really got to I got to do this. And it took me a while to like open the door. Cause like in my mind, a mouse is so much bigger than like, it's from what I remember is like a 4-year-old. So I'm like, man. And I was just like freaking out. But eventually I opened the door like an hour later, and it was like the smallest thing. I was like, holy shit. I didn't realize they were that small.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was like a good like lesson, because I was like, this is fear. This is what anything is, where you're just like, you build stuff up in your head. And a lot of times if you don't face it, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when you open that door and you see it, you're like, that's what I was afraid of the whole time.
Like the mouse shadow on the wall is like your size.
Right,
and then you're like, oh, wait. It's
like this little, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
And it was just something about mice. Because like we have birds that will like keep hitting our window. Like we live in new construction, and like, so we have like glass windows. For a while, birds didn't realize that there was like something there. So they would hit it, and some of them would die. So we would have like dead birds like just outside of our house for like the first like few months. And so I didn't like picking those. Like I didn't pick them with my hand. I would get like cardboard or some shit and like throw it in the woods. But I didn't like doing that. But like I wasn't scared of it the same way of like a mouse. But then I'm like, the mouse is smaller than the bird. I don't know.
Yeah. Wait, sorry, man. I just talked to Ansley for a second. I'm starting to worry that Manny might be the bad guy in a Disney cartoon. Just don't let him know I think that.
I'm just
I'm gonna
killing
keep that in
mice and
mind.
birds and yeah.
Cutest woodland creatures.
They all die at my house. Yeah.
Doesn't walk around with a blue case of knives.
Yeah.
It started as a fear.
Now I just kill them
Yeah.
for sport. Yeah. They just.
All right, man. Well, consider that a fear chakra unlocked,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
That was weird.
And are you no longer afraid of mice?
If one just came in here, I wouldn't love it. I wouldn't love it. I still don't want them in my house. There's something about just like you're just chilling and then you see something like that's not supposed to be living in your house. That's kind of just big and just so that kind of freaks me out, but not as much. Like the fear has gone down by a lot. Now I know what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
Before it was this made up thing in my head.
I think that's what ghosts were. Like back in
yeah?
the day. I think they were just mice. Like people
Yeah,
what
probably.
the fuck was that? Was that a ghost? It's
Yeah, I'm not afraid of ghosts. I don't know if I don't really believe in ghosts, but
Uh-oh.
oh.
You said it. I don't know.
do you guys believe in ghosts? I'm
I
sorry.
don't know. No, I don't know. I mean, we're just living. You know what I mean?
I didn't mean to.
I'm not very confident making claims one way or another.
I don't know. I'm not saying I'm agnostic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
could be real.
fair.
One's gonna kill me tonight.
Yeah.
I said, "Are you talking shit about me?" Yeah.
Yeah. Also, a lot of the stuff you said, you claim about yourself so far hasn't been true. So he's probably terrified of ghosts.
Yeah. Oh, if
Yeah.
one came, I'm not afraid because I just don't really believe in them. But if one came in here, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
jumping out that window.
Yeah. You walk
know?
that back. See how you walk
Yeah,
that back?
Yeah.
All right. Fear chakra unlocked for sure. And so keep it moving.
All right, Manny, this is a segment we like to call My Bad. It's an opportunity for you to apologize to a person, place, or thing in order to set your karma back to neutral.
All right.
We just got done doing Manny's Patreon episode, and it was so much fun. I mean, Manny, did you have a good time?
I had a great time.
Yeah, dude, your answers were amazing. I'm so glad you did it. $1 gets you all of our exclusive content on our Patreon. So come on in for not only the counter to this podcast, which we call Two Jack Bros After Dark, but also some fight commentary and analysis that we do on Ansley's jiu-jitsu matches. And I know the camera's out for this, but Ansley sure as hell just yawned.
Well, the camera's out.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, guys, check out Manny's comedy show, Next in Line Comedy. They do comedy shows all over Philly. They always have thick, amazing audiences and really great comedians. Check it out. Really bringing showcase comedy to the Philadelphia comedy scene in a very professional way.
Nice.
Check him out. Also, check out his podcast, You Be Aight. You Be Aight.
You be alright.
And that's U spelled like grammatically correct, B spelled grammatically correct, and I spelled the way I spelled.
Yep.
All right, so now we're going to get back into this episode and find out who or what Manny has to apologize to.
Trying to think. I apologize. I don't have to say this person's name, right?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So, so about 10 years ago or so in law school, I remember, and I'm not going to say this person's name, but we had a classmate who I think we later found out he was gay, but at the time he was presenting himself as straight, but there were rumors that he wasn't, but he was still present himself as if it was kind of an interesting situation. But I just remember sometimes if it was just the guys, including this guy around, we would say stuff that wasn't super welcoming, I guess. And looking back was kind of homophobic and oh, well, you're cool because, you're cool with this. But we kind of also knew maybe this guy isn't straight. So it's I just remember that and I was like, man, that was kind of dumb. And I was such a dumb, I was such a dumb person back then and just said dumb things and or even if I didn't say it, I didn't I just was laugh or agree with it or whatever. But I was looking back, I'm that was fucked up.
So would you guys not speak as homophobically when he wasn't around? Were you ramping it up around him to poke at him a little bit?
I don't think so. I think it was just.
Or you're I don't think that's what the group was doing. That is what I was doing.
I was 100% doing that. Yeah. No, I don't think it was that. I just remember, I remember one incident specifically where, I felt we could have been, it was just, we were saying some dumb shit, and it was
Yeah.
it's unnecessary. And also, this guy has not said that he's gay.
Yeah.
And he's still presenting, he's not saying either way. He's kind of presenting as if he's straight, but probably just because he doesn't feel comfortable coming out because we're fucking idiots. Like, so I get why you're not.
You guys are keeping him in the closet.
You know? And he wouldn't, he wouldn't say he is. And we were like,
you guys are like holding the door of the closet with your shoulders.
Yeah. But like, looking back, I was like, that was really ignorant. But I was pretty ignorant about stuff like that.
Of course, like I'm not going to ask you to repeat some of the things that you said in this particular incident. But what precipitated the incident? Like, what happened that made you guys start saying the stuff you said?
I just remember one time, and it wasn't anything like crazy, but like, it was me and another student. And he was at the table, and like there's maybe another female there. And at some point, we're like, I don't know. We both like girls, and like we both dapped each other up, but it was like meant to be funny. But it was like, it was just like, and he kind of was just like, y'all niggas are wildin'. Like he just was like, he was just like, y'all are stupid. But also, it's like, he was kind of like, man, you guys are so ignorant. Like, fuck you guys. Like, this is why I can't come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you guys would just like, anytime he was around, just like hold him to the idea that he loved pussy?
Hold him to that idea?
Yeah. Or like just like hold him to his straightness? Like, because
we didn't hold him to his straightness. We didn't.
So you guys, just this situation, he is gay now, right?
I don't know if
Still
he's
don't know,
officially. Huh? Yeah, I don't know if he's officially come out.
Let's just say he's gay.
Okay.
It's 2022.
Yeah.
It's pretty safe, right?
Yeah, if he came out with me, I'd be like, that's great, but you know.
So he was at the table, a girl was at a table, and then you and another homeboy showed up.
Yeah.
And you just start like...
We were talking about something, but I remember the line was, I don't know. We both like girls, and then we just like dapped each other up. I don't remember how that happened, but I remember the girl got mad at us afterwards. Because it was like... And she was like, you guys know, why would you say that? That's so ignorant. Like, like she got really mad. And I remember at the time...
You guys know we all don't know whether or not he's gay.
She didn't say it in front of him. She like waited, like, hold on. Can I speak to you outside? We don't do that. Yeah, he could like hear us. He's like, okay.
I think I get.
You know what I mean? It's hard
to
to explain, but I just remember feeling like, and he and I are cool. Like we've since spoken since, and like we've since hung out since, and we're cool.
Because in whatever way it happened, that the line that was said at his expense.
Yeah, I felt like it was really insensitive and just ignorant. To him, and it's probably the reason why he was like, I just don't feel comfortable being my full self.
Yeah.
And perhaps he's bi. I don't know, but I think
In full disclosure.
Yeah.
When I asked what precipitated the things that you and your friends said, I was hoping you were going to tell a story of him doing something really gay. I'm not going to lie to you.
That was not what happened. Actually, we were acting way gayer than he was. We were the gay ones in that situation, for sure.
Yeah. Maybe he's like, he's more of like a gay carrier.
A gay
carrier? Yeah, like when he is around, like he makes people around him start acting gay.
Maybe so. I don't know. It might have been true. Yeah, he was just like, maybe he thinks we're gay. Maybe he's telling another person on a podcast, there's this guy named Manny. Pretty sure he's gay. And I said some things around him.
I'm just saying in law school, him and this one guy would always be like, we love girls. Like, who says that?
Like, no, you don't. That's clearly you don't. They're gay as shit. Yeah. He might be doing that right now. Again, he's never officially like said, hi, I'm gay. But it's, Okay. Anyway, I always thought that was like, I always was embarrassed by that and was like, man, that's fucked up.
That's a good apology.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel getting that off your chest?
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I hope he never watches this. So he might.
I hope he does because I want everybody to listen or watch it.
No, I do. Everyone listen. Just except that one person. I didn't say his name, but he would definitely be like, you're talking about me.
Yeah. How dare you? The nerve.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know how he talks.
He didn't act like that at all.
I'm sorry. You brought him up and I started acting gay. See? He is a gay carrier.
Yeah, you got to. Now you have to give him an apology.
All right. Pelvis chakra unlocked. Ace, keep it moving.
All right. Manny, how do you move past disappointment in yourself or in loved ones?
Gut chakra, by the way.
Okay, cool. See, I forgot about that question. Like, I knew it, but I wasn't anticipating it. I think I try. like if I'm disappointed in other people, I try to keep high standards for myself, but like low standards for. Not low standards. That's not the right word.
Sounded a little hoity-toity over there.
No, not
Yeah.
that's no. Like I don't like what.
Would you like to borrow my monocle real quick, man?
That's not what I meant. Not low standards. What I'm saying is like. I don't know.
But by the way, we both know exactly what you're saying.
I know.
Now I'm like, wait, what
We
am
know
I
exactly what you're trying to say. We know exactly what you're trying to say. But this is more fun.
Yeah, no, that's way more fun.
Yeah.
And it made me question everything I just said. I was like, oh my God, do I sound like that? But yeah, I think I try to, like I try to keep my expectations with people like not too high. I try not to put people on pedestals and stuff when I deal with them so that I feel like, if your expectations aren't too high, you realize that they're just people, they're going to make mistakes. Like I try to like prepare myself for that. Like, hey, this person is going to disappoint me because they're a person. I'm going to disappoint them, but like I have to do better myself. But like for this person, I'm not saying like anyone can just treat you like shit, but like sometimes, there might be something that someone does that might annoy you or whatever. And you kind of just have to be like, hey, that's just how they are. And like, I try to figure out like is the relationship important enough to me that I will like kind of just deal with that. Like it's not going to be like, oh, I'll never deal with that person again because they do X, Y, and Z. But yeah, with disappointment with myself, I try to just learn from it. Like if I used to get like very, very upset with myself. Like if I did something wrong or like, if I got like, even in school, like I used to freak out. Like if I got like a bad grade.
Were you like a straight A student?
I was in parts. I was in spurts. It was really weird. Like I was like a straight A student in like 6th grade for some reason. Like in 1 grade, I got like straight A's. And then it started dipping as I started to care more about like social stuff and like all that shit. And then by 8th grade, it wasn't great. And it was really weird because I think my GPA was so high that by the time I was an 8th grader, I was still like I still like overall had like honor roll, but like it was dipping drastically. But I did so well like as a 6th grader, like I think I still was at the award ceremony, even though I did not deserve, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I didn't feel like I was trending in that direction. And then high school, I was kind of lazy and stuff. And I think I cared so much in middle school about stuff. Like if I got a bad grade, like I would like cry and like it was just like the end of the world. And I cared so much. I stressed myself out so much. By the time I was in high school, I just was like burnt out. And so I just stopped giving a shit. The only time it mattered, by the way, like as soon as it actually mattered.
6th grade.
And like,
Burnt out in 6th grade.
It's
Sixth
like,
grade.
it's like, look, I don't know if you want to see my high school grades, but I got some 6th grade grades, college. So if you want to take a look at those.
Man, he put all his eggs in the 6th grade basket.
6th grade. And then right when my future mattered, I was like, you know what? I just dropped the ball.
Don't worry,
So-
Mom, I got this. In 6th grade, I'm going to take us to the top.
That's what it was.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so when you're disappointed in yourself,
You think back about it to 6th grade, and it's
Yeah.
all okay.
Yeah.
you'll always have 6th grade.
I was like, well, I was crushing it with friggin' algebra. I don't even know what you learned it probably wasn't even algebra. I don't even remember what we learned in 6th grade.
No,
Long
algebra
division?
is more of like a 9th grade.
9th grade thing? Yeah. I was sleeping. I was taking naps in class by 9th grade.
Yeah. You weren't doing algebra.
No. That's why I don't know what it is now.
Yeah.
I slept through it.
Yeah. Algebra is one of those. It used to be a sacred math.
No.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It's also one of the things that Muslims don't get credit for that they invented.
I think I did know that it came from that area of the world.
Algebra. Yeah.
Okay.
The guy's name is Algebra.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Shout out to
Hebrew?
that guy.
Yeah, shout out to Algebra.
Hell yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I like that. And so I think the way that we say it, what we were making fun of you for before, is that we don't hold people to our expectations for ourselves.
Okay.
People are allowed to have whatever standards and expectations for themselves that they have for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't hold anybody to what I do for myself.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that yeah.
Yeah. Or you could say, I keep high standards for myself and low standards for other people. I don't know. I don't know. Say it however you want to say it.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. But I find I don't get as disappointed as easily, because if I do that, and I also try to be much kinder to myself. Either that, or I've just become apathetic or something. I don't know, but I'm just like, dude, it's all right. You're not gonna get everything perfect. I'm definitely not. I don't consider myself a perfectionist as much as I used to be, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm okay with.
And a lot of times, those perfectionists are just like people. It's like we were just talking about this the other day when people say like, "Oh, I can't do sports because I'm too smart for my own good." It's like you're not too smart. You just get paralyzed with indecision, right? And like it's like the same thing. I'm sorry. What was the thing that you said that made me say this?
I was talking about. What was I talking?
That he's not as much a perfectionist.
Oh,
not a perfectionist. Yeah.
So a lot of times, people who call themselves perfectionists are just people that throw fits when things don't go right.
Right. 100%. Yeah. I think part of it too is like when I've met people who are very, very perfectionists or want things a certain way, and I was like, whoa, I can't. That's not me. Like you guys got it. That's you. Like I can't. That's too much. Like I think when I maybe saw it on other people or something, it was like, ugh. Is that what I look like or something? I don't know. I was just like,
is that what I would look like?
Yeah. Is that what I would look like? Yeah.
But no, I totally get that. And we would consider that a gut chakra unlocked.
Yes, we would.
Ace, keep it moving.
All right, Manny, what have you learned from grief? This is the heart chakra.
Heart chakra. So from grief, I think I've learned grief kind of makes me keep everything in perspective, like keep life in perspective. I think I don't know. We experience a lot of like I remember there was like a time from like 6th grade. I know. 6th grade was it was such a weird fucking time.
Like I was like the best time ever.
I was going through some things in 6th grade. It was a wild time.
You were ascending to the top.
I was ascending to the top, and then there was a crash right after.
It was your meteoric rise.
Yeah, I saw. Middle school was wild, but yeah, I remember in 6th grade I was riding high, getting good grades.
Yeah.
Actually, that was all I was doing though, because I wasn't like physically fit. I was a pretty chubby kid. I was eating like shit. I didn't really engage in like physical activity, but I had good grades. But I wasn't really good at anything else. That was an aside. That has nothing to do with whatever I'm about to answer. But
I'm trying to walk back your glory year. I had other years that were pretty good too.
Yeah, I was, but so in sixth grade. No, I'm sorry. It was the end of 5th grade. That's when I started losing people in my family who like they were my like I lost 2 grandparents between. So like my grandmother died at the end of 5th grade, and then a year and a half later, my grandfather died. And then my dad's brother, my uncle, died when I was like right before I went into 8th grade. So like 2 years, we had like really seminal people die, and even though they weren't, especially for my parents, so it was kind of like secondhand grief. Like I wasn't happy about it, but like they were huge people in my parents' lives who died. So I think the first thing I learned when I was at that age was like people die, and it happens, and so I don't know. It was just one of those things where I was like, okay, at some point I'm gonna die, and it kind of helps you keep life in perspective. When you actually, this is gonna sound kind of weird, but like
in 6th grade,
back in 6th grade when I was getting straight A's. No, there's something cleansing about going to funerals and stuff, and like, but again, I've kind of experienced a lot of secondhand grief. Like, I haven't had like, I'm trying to think if I've had someone like super, super close to me. Like my parents are still alive. All my siblings are alive. All my grandparents are dead though. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. What about like a, like a lot of times breakups can be pretty hard for people.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a grief-inducing breakup or a friendship end?
I had like one pretty. I didn't date a whole. I had like one very serious girlfriend in like high school, and then at the end of high school, we dated until like the end of college. Mm-hmm. So that was like a breakup. So that was, but it was on my terms. Like I wanted to do it, so it didn't. Honestly, it didn't feel like how people are like, oh my gosh, like when so and so broke up with me, that like broke my heart. I almost feel lucky in that regard because it hasn't really. I haven't had that many like girlfriends or relationships, but like it's never really been. It's kind of, if we've broken up, it's been kind of on my terms. Mm. So I mean, there's still grief in the sense that you're leaving someone, but I also wanted to leave.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But like I do think I have had experiences where you grow apart from friends. Like there's grief in that. Yeah. Or you stop doing things. There's grief in that. Like even if I'm trying to think of something I've stopped doing. I don't know, like even if it's like if I'm like I like to run, but I'll do it in like I feel like I'll be in spurts. Like sometimes I'll be really into it, and then sometimes I'll get busy and I'll stop doing it. Yeah. Like sometimes there's just like grief and like, oh my god, like I used to do that, like I'm not doing it as consistently or whatever.
You're a spurt guy.
Yeah, I'm a spurt guy. I'm just like get straight A's in sixth grade, bomb in seventh grade. Yeah.
All right. So what would you say then you picked up from all these different types of grief?
I think part of it is just life will end, and so try to make the best of it, and try to make the best of being with people, and because they're not going to be here forever, you're not going to be here forever, and it just kind of puts life in perspective of like what's important.
I'm just laughing because when you said life will end, that did not do anything to defend you against being a bad guy in a Disney cartoon.
That's awesome. Yeah. Life will end, especially if you come to my house and you are a rodent or some sort. Yeah.
Yeah, you
100%.
better not be enchanting.
Yeah.
Not in my house.
Yeah.
We'll consider that a heart chakra unlocked. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Ace, keep it moving.
All right, Manny, what is a favorite lie that you have told, or extra karmic points if it's still in rotation?
Yeah, and this is the throat chakra, by the way, and I'm really curious to see how someone with a law degree answers this question.
Well, technically.
Yeah. Technically wasn't a lie. Trying to think of what is a lie? This was an interesting lie. So I remember watching this was like maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and I was watching a TED Talk, and it was talking about how everyone lies and how frequently people lie. And they were saying it's like people lie like once every conversation or something like that, especially if they're talking to like strangers. And I was like, that's not true. Like, I don't do that. Like, I remember getting like really like indignant about it. And then literally...
You got indignant at a TED Talk?
I know.
It's like, fuck this. I slammed my laptop down and just,
You're the man, Manny.
Yeah, I have problems. I have a lot of problems. But I remember like that day going to a supermarket, and I had on a Howard University t-shirt. And my dad went to Howard, and I did not. And he went there a long time ago. And I saw this. There's another guy who was there, black guy around my age, who was at the supermarket, and he was like, "Oh, you went to Howard," and I was just like, "Yeah."
Yeah, homie.
And he was like, "What year?" I was like, 2011. I was just like saying my year of when I graduated college, and I was getting so nervous because I was like, I don't know how many questions. I think he was like asking about like teachers, and I was like, I gotta go, man. But it's been real. But
love catching up about Howard.
Yeah. We'll catch up about Howard some other time. I think he asked me for he asked me for my email.
Oh.
And I like gave him like a fake email and like walked out.
Yeah. Howard.edu.
Yeah, there's some guy getting emails from this guy all the time. Like, I know I saw you at the supermarket. Why aren't you responding?
That's a good lie.
Yeah,
If
it's
you
fun.
don't mind me asking, what college did you go to?
I went to George Mason in Northern Virginia, which is like a very white school, like to the west of DC.
And in a lot of ways, a better college.
I don't know. I mean, it was an all right college. I didn't do that great in high school, so I wouldn't know if I would even call it a better college, to be honest. Because
George Mason?
you might be thinking of like
not.
George Washington.
You think I'm thinking about the first president, Manny? You really think I'm thinking about the first president right now?
No, I'm just saying the university's way better. Like George Mason's not that great of a school. No offense, George Mason. I mean, you're fine, but George Washington's a much better school, and so I think people mix up George Mason with George
I've never
Washington.
heard of George Washington
Really?
University, college. What is it?
I don't know.
It's a university. It's in DC. But hey, look, if you want to say George Mason's a good school, I'm not gonna.
I thought it was a pretty good school, right, George?
I'm not really that familiar with it.
Yeah, it's fine. We went to the Final Four in 2006.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and that was just a Cinderella story. So
Yeah.
but that
But
was
a
cool.
lot of those small Cinderella stories are typically good academic institutions.
It
Like
was,
they're like small liberal arts colleges or whatever.
yeah, it wasn't a liberal arts school. It was actually a huge public university in Virginia.
Oh, that's all you had to say.
Yeah. So it had nothing to do with Howard. So Howard's in D.C. George Mason is in Fairfax, Virginia, which is like 25 minutes west of that in Virginia.
So you were still in Valor.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
because like then in the grand scheme of things, Howard would it be the more prestigious college?
Yeah, and also just I think at the time I just really wanted to connect with this other black guy. I just wanted to feel that HBCU love, and I just took it. I took it from my dad's shirt.
Well, let me ask you: does that HBCU love feel good?
It felt great. That's why I kept lying.
Yeah.
I was like, 2011. I was just making up stuff, making up dorm names, whatever. Like, I was in Howard. I was in the Howard dorm.
Yeah.
You know, I was in all of them. I was in every dorm, man. I was all up in it, man. I don't know what I was even saying, but
Yeah, I was all up in that.
he
dorm
was.
too.
He looked very
I
confused.
love dorms. The dorms?
Yeah, the dorms were
dorms.
dope, bro.
Love the dorms.
And the classes, you see the classes and the professors. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
man, those buildings.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, that is definitely a throat shot.
And that's still going around, by the way. He doesn't know. I never confessed to that guy. I lied to that dude. It was what was that grocery store? 40th and Market in West Philly, like University City. What the hell?
So he's walking around the city like thinking you you can bump into him again.
Exactly. Like I don't go to that grocery store because of that. Yeah, like he's in Philly somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm scared. I'm still scared, but that lie is technically still going around.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
That's currently in rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys technically talked about basketball, so just letting you know.
Yes. Oh my God.
It took a while.
It did.
Do you talk about it every episode?
No, Ansley keeps track of how long it takes for me and all of our black guests to talk about basketball.
Oh, interesting. That sounds very racist.
Yeah. It happens every single time. It's just an observation. I can't help it. I'm like, is it racist if it happens every single time?
You guys are doing
Check
it.
how late they are and how quickly it takes.
No, she's later than everybody. Like, she's the reason for the lateness. I take the blame for it. She's the reason for it.
Nice. Well, that's all good.
But
That's so
we
funny,
did
though.
talk about basketball.
We did. Yeah.
George Mason, Final Four, 2006.
Yeah.
Yep.
Throw out some stats.
Yeah,
Funny.
that was like 41 minutes in.
Yeah.
That was deep. That was
Yeah.
probably the record. maybe.
Nice. I'll take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. All right, throat chakra unlocked. Ace, keep it moving.
All right. So, Manny, now we're to the third eye chakra. So we're out of the physical into the metaphysical. So what is something that you've always thought of as separate, but as you've gotten older, you've learned that it's really the same?
Separate, but I think this is like from a rap lyric, I think, which is a weird way to start this. But like this is a dumb one, but like love and hate, maybe. Like I feel like they're different, but they're also similar in the sense that like it's a preoccupation with someone or something, as opposed to like being apathetic to it completely. They're kind of like one and the same because you're like passionately focused on something. Because like to hate it, you have to. I think there was like a quote actually that like the opposite of love is not hate, but it's like apathy or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, I would say that maybe.
Yeah, it's an interesting take on it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. Now, is there a situation or is there something that made this revelation hit?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask follow-up questions. I was thinking about that. I was like, do I have a specific example? Yeah, I think throughout my life, like growing up, like if I talk shit about somebody, it's like, but you kind of love them in a way because you're obsessed with them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're truly over it or truly over a situation or something, like you wouldn't have to be as focused on them.
It's definitely, it's your emotional energy. It's
Yeah,
definitely being put into this situation or person or whatever.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like this is maybe a perception that you might have developed by your desire to not love your haters.
Not love your haters. Yeah. Just ignore them.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or just like they don't even exist.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had a lot of haters in 6th grade. I did. Nobody wanted to see me shine. So.
Can't stop a king from shining. I run 6th grade. Yeah. I like that. Love and hate. That's I mean, we always say you can't hate something you don't love.
Yeah.
You know, and then so I've been hearing this a lot too, and we'll move on in a second. But I heard one of the Diaz brothers was talking about, and he's a MMA fighter in the UFC, and he was talking about how you have to have a love and hate relationship with fighting. Like if you don't hate it, then you shouldn't be in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have, because in order to love it, you have to hate it. And what he's saying is, in order to love it, in order to get the most that you can out of it, you have to put your body through hell to do it. And it's like, so if you don't hate it, that means you're not putting in the work necessary to love it.
Yeah, I know. That's I think anytime you're like, I think of that when it comes to like doing anything, like work. Like I feel like a lot of times, like if I'm writing something at work, I will like hate what I'm writing. Like this is terrible. This is so bad, and I'm playing with it and I'm trying to figure it out. I guess for those who don't know, I'm a lawyer, and so like I'll be.
I think we picked that up. Maybe.
Yeah. Just wanted to. I made it past 6th grade. Ultimately, I started getting better grades and went to Howard. And but yeah, I've noticed that like if I'm writing something at work or anything or in stand up or something, I'm really like focusing on something, I will hate what I'm doing. Like when I'm writing, I'm like, God, this isn't working. This sounds stupid. And so I'm just like focused on it, and I'm playing with it, and I'm editing it, and I'm like, this is the worst thing I've ever written. And but I won't stop playing with it, and I'm wrestling with it. And I think the reason I'm doing that is because I actually do care about it. And I'm putting a lot of energy into it, and I'm trying to make it as good as possible. And it's usually when I really hate something that I've gotten like the best feedback from it. It's like, remember that thing I hated and I like questioned my very existence and how bad I am at everything? Like that actually ended up being a really good work product.
Yeah. I've never thought about that. Makes a lot of sense though. That like, cause like loving things and doing a good job on something doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Right. So it's like recognizing it's that hard work that's going to stress you out.
Yeah.
Is like part of it.
Yeah. And I have not figured out a way to completely avoid. I mean, I think sometimes I might have stressed out too much in the past. Like I've gotten too anxious about stuff, but like there still needs to be some type of tension. And I think, what is the pressure creates diamonds and stuff like that. Like I think that's true when it comes to creating a good work product, whether it's, at work for me or like at stand up, like just really trying to edit something and make it good. You're gonna hate it. Like, that sounds stupid. Like,
Yeah.
I'm editing it. I'm taking that out because that's stupid. You have to like kind of hate it.
Yeah. Or like with stand up or competitions or whatever. Like I think, with competitions, jiu-jitsu, a lot of times people are like, do I even like to compete? Like, why do I do this to myself? You have all those thoughts, but there's something like that love of it, like pushes you to go through all of that. And you know, you wouldn't go through it if you didn't have that love in you.
Yeah.
What a beautiful moment.
Oh, yeah. Let's take it in.
I ended up being like a really deep, unfolding answer.
Yeah.
I know. I was really insecure about my answer in the beginning, but you guys helped make it a lot better.
Dude, 6th grade all over again, dog.
You're going to leave here with a 6th grade shine.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's definitely a third eye chakra unlocked. All right. And, by the way, do you have time to stick around for the Patreon? I didn't even ask you that. I'm so sorry.
He did before we were so late.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I gotta. It's midnight, so I gotta get it. No, I'm just kidding. No, definitely. I'm down for that.
Hell yeah. All right. So, Ansley, last question. Keep it moving.
Yes, Manny, we are to the crown chakra.
Okay.
It's a 2-part question. So what is one thing you can't give up and why? And what would giving it up mean?
That's a good question. I think, I don't know if there's anything I want to say.
We're good. Keep going.
Okay. I don't know if there's anything I want to say I couldn't give up. Because that sounds so final, like to say like, I could never give that up. Like my answer might be, I would never want to give up the idea of being able to give stuff up. I don't know if that's like, I'm not trying to like skirt around the question,
Yeah.
but like I want to never give up the possibility of giving things up. And there's something about like knowing that you could give something up, that if you truly enjoy what you're doing, you don't give it up. Like I think, kind of like stand up, like in my mind, I'm like, I could stop this at any time. But the fact that I'm doing it gives me like, it feels like I'm taking ownership. Like I'm choosing this every time I do this. And there's something about knowing that I can give it up. And there could be a world in which I do give it up and I'm still choosing not to, that kind of empowers me. And I think that's true with all types of things. I don't know. Does that make any sense? I don't know.
Yeah, well, you're the lawyer.
Yeah.
I mean, I would believe you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like, well, yeah. If you look at it from, I mean, you're just like accomplishing being a lawyer from the outside looking in. We know it to be a difficult, laborious process where you're going to learn how to be a lawyer, then you got to pass the bar, and then you got to apprentice as a lawyer at first. I don't even know how that works. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
you jump straight into lawyering.
They do. They throw you in there.
Yeah.
I remember the first case I got. I was like, "Yo, we need to get a lawyer on this shit." I can't.
Yeah, but it seems like a hard thing. You know what I mean? So the idea of, so when you look at like somebody say, well, I try not to give up. I try not to ever give up the idea of giving up things. You know?
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, well, he's a lawyer, so.
I guess.
So
I don't know.
I mean,
people do
that.
Yeah, people do assume because you're a lawyer, you know what you're talking about, which is not true at all.
Yeah.
Like, it is not true even in the slightest. I mean, I definitely feel like I'm an absolute imposter, but I do try to, if people assume that, I'll play off of that. But like, I don't think that. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Well, you also, like, you seem like you seem like you have balance in your life, right? Like you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. And that's been something that some comedians that have been in here have talked about. Like, you know, like your whole life can't be stand up because then if it crumbles, like, or like anything, right? Like if that one thing is taken away from you, you like everything collapses in on itself, right?
Yeah.
So like, I feel like it's along those lines of like, it seems like you have some balance in your life.
Yeah, I definitely try to have balance. I mean, I have a few things that I'm really into, but I try not to just have it be everything. Like stand-up isn't, I love stand-up, and I mean, it's just, I could talk about it forever, as you probably know. But but I still want to be able to have other things in my life and just make sure that if I bomb or whatever on a set, it's not going to ruin my very identity of who I am as a person. You know, try to just and I also started stand up late, so like I think I was able to have that balance. I think if I was started when I was much younger, like in my early 20s, I started when I was 30. So if I started when I was 20, I mean, I know for a fact I wouldn't have the same type of perspective. You just can't have it. You have to kind of live life, or at least I did.
Well, let me ask you this then. Are there any identity things that you feel like you couldn't give up? And I'll give an example of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm a natural coach. And that is a very large part of my identity. Like, being able to help people like move past like a frustration or a problem and then reach a goal. Like, I'm very into that. And I don't think I'd ever be able to give up that part of my life. Right? So is there anything like that you feel like you wouldn't be able to give up?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a broad answer, but I think communicating with people. Like, I think the reason why I like being a lawyer, I like doing stand-up, is because I'm communicating with people and I'm persuading people, whether it's like persuading a judge to rule a certain way, or I'm persuading 50 drunk strangers to laugh at this punchline about whatever, like Rice Krispie treats or whatever I'm talking about. Like, I like the idea of like effectively communicating. I also like teaching too. Like I've thought like maybe, you know, at some point, you know, it'd be kind of dope to be like a teacher too, like a academically. You know, I don't know if my grades were good enough in law school to do that, but you know, you never know.
Yeah, but you are a lawyer, so you could do it.
Yeah, maybe.
You would just say, I am a lawyer.
Yeah, you'd be like, I'm a lawyer, listen to me.
It's like, what do you want to teach?
Yeah. No, I like presenting ideas and my thoughts on things and teaching people. So I consider those my strengths, and it would be hard to never do anything that touches on those what I consider strengths or passions or whatever you want to call them. Okay. So yeah, it would be hard to give that
Fair
up.
enough.
Yeah. Well, Manny, that's it. How do you feel, man?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah. So we're going to jump into, God damn it, I don't even think I mentioned Next in Line Comedy. I didn't even promote your stuff.
It's all good.
Yeah.
You can promote it now.
We'll do it at the back. We'll do it in the promo.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got this.
Okay.
We
all
got
right.
this.
Awesome.
We got this. So check out Manny does really cool stand-up shows. He works with Next in Line Comedy. They do shows all over Philly right now, or you guys have a standard location?
We're all over Philly. Mostly the Victoria Freehouse in Old City, Frankie Bradley's in Center City, and Tattooed Moms on South Street.
Dude, just a great audiences, great vibe. I recommend checking it out if you just want to have a great time. And also, check out our Patreon. $1 gets you all of our exclusive content. And we are definitely going to get some of our fight commentary and analysis of Ansley's jiu-jitsu matches, including her world championship winning run.
Yes.
You know?
We'll get that.
As well as you will be getting the counter to this podcast that you're watching right now, which we call Two Jack Bros After Dark, where we enlighten our guest's shadow self and open up their dark shadow chakras. That's how I wanted to say that. Okay. And anyway, so thank you guys for listening / watching. We love all you guys, and we are out.
See ya.
Two Jack Bros. Two Jack Bros.